Have you ever wanted to use your awesome PlayStation controller to play games on your PC? Well, if you have, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to get you started with DS4Windows, which is a super simple tool that makes it all happen.
So picture this. You've got your super comfortable, familiar DualShock or maybe even a brand new DualSense controller, and you're sitting at your PC thinking, why can't I just use this? It's a super common problem, right? You love the feel of the PlayStation controller, but so many PC games are built from the ground up to work with Xbox controllers. Well, that exact problem is what we're about to solve.
And the magic solution is a program called DS4Windows. You can think of it as a universal translator for your controller. It's really clever. It grabs all the signals from your PlayStation controller and basically tells your PC, hey, don't worry, I'm actually an Xbox controller. And just like that, with that one simple trick, you unlock this huge library of PC games that just didn't work before.
Okay, so here's our game plan to get you up and running. We'll talk about what the software is really doing, take a quick tour of the main screen, get you to master the default profile, which is super important, compare the two different ways it can pretend to be a controller, and then wrap up with a couple of absolutely critical settings you've got to know.
First things first, let's really get what's happening behind the scenes, because it's not just a simple switch. It's actually an incredibly powerful tool once you dig in.
So yeah, its main job is making your PlayStation controller look like an Xbox One to your PC. But DS4Windows can do so much more. It's also a powerhouse for remapping. This means you could make your X button act like the spacebar, or a trigger act like a mouse click. It's a total game changer, especially for older games that don't even have controller support.
All right, let's fire it up and take a look around the main interface. When you first open DS4Windows, you're going to see a bunch of tabs right at the top. I know it might look a little intimidating at first, but don't worry, we're just going to focus on the ones that really matter.
These tabs right here are your command center. Controllers is pretty self-explanatory. It shows what's plugged in. Profiles is where the magic happens, where you customize everything. Auto Profiles is cool. It lets you load specific settings automatically when you launch a certain game. Settings is for the overall program, and Output Slots, well, that one's about how the controller shows up to your PC. And trust me, we'll circle back to that one. It's really important.
Now, let's talk about the single most important part of this whole program. Seriously, if you understand the default profile, you've basically mastered DS4Windows. This is the core of it all.
So here's the main thing you need to get. That default profile is the engine of the whole operation. Right out of the box, it's set up to do that one essential job: make your PC see an Xbox controller. And honestly, for probably 90% of the games you're going to play, this default setup is all you will ever need.
And check this out. There's a brilliant little trick baked right into that default profile. Your controller's touchpad can act like a computer mouse, which is awesome for navigating menus. But what if it's getting in the way while you're actually playing? It's simple. Just press and hold the PlayStation button, and while you're holding it, give the touchpad a single tap. Boom. That toggles the mouse control on or off. Super useful.
Okay, this next part is a really important distinction you need to understand. By default, DS4Windows pretends to be an Xbox controller. But you can also tell it to pretend to be a native DualShock 4 controller. So let's break down why you'd pick one over the other.
So, looking at this, you can see there's a clear trade-off. On one hand, the Xbox 360 emulation gives you massive compatibility. It just works with almost everything, no questions asked. The DS4 emulation is really just for that small handful of PC games that specifically support the PlayStation controller. But look at that second row. That's the real kicker.
And there it is, plain and simple. Let me just say that again so it really sinks in. If you want vibration, if you want that rumble feedback in your games, you absolutely must use the Xbox emulation mode. The second you switch a profile to emulate a DS4 controller, you lose all rumble. For most people, that makes the decision pretty easy. Stick with the Xbox mode.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. To wrap things up, let's go over a couple of final critical settings that are going to help you dodge some common problems and just make sure you have a perfect experience every time you play.
So let's do a quick recap of the really big takeaways here. First, remember you can create tons of different profiles for all your games. Second, if for some reason you do need to switch to DS4 emulation, you do that by editing a profile and going to the Others tab. But finally, and this is the most important technical tip I can give you, always leave the Output Slots tab set to Dynamic. This lets the software handle all the connections automatically, and trust me, it will prevent so many weird controller glitches.
And that's pretty much it. That's your quick start guide to DS4Windows. It's such a powerful tool that really closes the gap between your favorite controller and that massive PC game library. Now that you get these core ideas, you've pretty much unlocked a whole new, more versatile way to play. So I guess the only question left is,
what game were you going to fire up first?